When I was a kid, my hometown used to have this carnival every year. It was your basic, pretty cheap setup that would come into town. They'd stay for a few months out of the year, then away it went, probably to some other town. Well, when I got older, it was a pretty good place to get a temporary job. I got a position there in the fall of one year because I was saving up for an Xbox 360. Man, I feel old. I worked there with some friends, and this one older guy, Marcus, who was our manager, always kept us kids from just slacking off. He was a good guy. Our job for the month was basically to keep everything up and running, clean, and help the carnival go as if they needed something. It was your usual assortment of rides and booths, nothing too out of the ordinary, except this one tent. It was more tattered than the others. None of us wanted to go near the damn thing. So it stayed in that grimy state for weeks. None of the customers seemed interested in it either, so we didn't see the harm in just letting it sit there. I tried asking Marcus about it one of the days I was working. Hey, why do we keep that thing up? Isn't it a fire hazard or something? He looked at me with this kind of nervous look I'd never seen on him before. The owners tell us to keep it up, so we do. Just, don't go there. Pretend it doesn't exist. If something needs to be done, just let me know and I'll take care of it. But you tell your friends that none of you should go in there. I was a bit confused as I'd never seen him so serious before, but I trusted him. So the tent went untouched. Except for one day when some kid wandered in. The whole park was in a tizzy looking for him. Must have been a couple of hours, but we checked the cameras and saw he walked in there. And by the time we ran over to the tent, he was wandering out of it in a daze. I could never describe the look on his face. He looked like those old war pictures of people coming back from the trenches. Never seen a kid with that look before. The kid was holding a ticket. It was this dirty little piece of paper with a number written on it, 7. His mom ran frantically over to him and hugged him, but he didn't seem to react. He spoke very softly. The puppet said, "I'm going to die," he said in this shell-shocked voice. I saw it happen. His mom held him close and began to cry. Soon the ambulance arrived and they were whisked away. Didn't see that kid again until a week later. It turned out he'd passed away in some freak accident. I didn't read the police report, but with how the news talked about it, it sounded gnarly. After that, our curiosity only grew day by day, but Marcus demanded none of us go in there. I wasn't one to argue, but my friends were another story. One of the guys was on the younger side, clearly out to prove himself. His name was Jackson, and he must have been a few grades below me, but he was a good guy. Wore this seashell necklace all the time, and he said it was good luck. One day I overheard everyone gathered over by the tent. They were daring Jackson to go inside, and of course, he went right in. We waited outside for what must have been hours. The tent was dead silent the whole damn time. Right before I was about to go in and get him, Marcus came by. He knew immediately what we'd done, and he ran after Jackson. 2 more hours passed, and they both walked out slowly, both with the same horrified look on their face that I saw on that kid. They both held a ticket, same as the kid. Marcus's number said 10, but Jackson said 2. Marcus walked quietly, holding his head in his hands. But Jackson started to panic, screaming about how he didn't want to die. We tried to calm him down, but he was incoherent, yelling about how the puppet showed him everything. He ran into the woods near the property. We called the police, but the search came up empty-handed. That was until 2 days later. His body was found under a fallen tree. He was almost unrecognizable, except the blood-splattered seashell necklace hanging out of the carnage. Most everyone quit after that, but I just couldn't. Marcus left after about a week and a half. Never saw him again. He just got in his car and drove off. It's been 12 years. I'm out of college now, and I've been bouncing from job to job, but every year I come back to work at the circus. I'm a manager now, and I'm looking after my group of dumbass teenagers. They're good kids. They remind me of me and my friends, except they've got more sense than we did. A few of them have asked me about the tent. I told them what Marcus told me. Stay away, and if anything happens, come get me. Is this how Marcus felt? Trying to protect us against something not even he understood? I reminded them every day for months of their duties, none of which included going near that tent, and that they should just ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist. If only I could have followed my own advice. A few days ago, I finally broke. I went inside the tent. I just had to know. What drove my friend nuts? What made Marcus leave? The second I stepped into the tent, the air around me felt like it froze. It was cold, colder than I'd ever been. The inside was barren and dark, except for a light flickering above one of those old fortune-teller boxes with the name The All-Knowing Henry in cracked and rotted wooden lettering above it. Inside was this wooden puppet in a suit. It was missing an eye, and I couldn't see cockroaches eating away at the inside of the machine. When I approached it, slowly sat up with a mechanical whirring sound, and what sounded like cracking bone as its head turned to look at me. "Hello there, I've been waiting." I was taken aback because I hadn't even interacted with it. "Your friends sure had fun. I think you will too." I turned around to leave. I wasn't dealing with this child's play bullshit. But when I turned around, I was surrounded by darkness. I walked through it, but when I came through the other side, I was right back in front of the machine again. "What do you want?" I screamed at the puppet. Its face showed no emotion, just a painted smile on a jaw with one broken hinge. "Do you want to know your future?" I tried once again to get away. I sprinted for what used to be the door, only to be running back towards the machine. I smashed into it full force, but it didn't take any damage. The only mark I left was blood from my now broken nose that had smeared on the glass. It repeated, "Do you want to know your future?" I didn't see any other way out, so I responded, yes. In a blink, the machine was gone, and I was standing on a road near my house. It was dark, and across the street I could see me. I saw myself walking up the road to my house, but something was wrong. I could just feel it. And soon my suspicion was proven correct, as someone was coming up behind me quickly. They had a knife. He came up behind the other me. I screamed, trying to warn him, but nothing would come from my throat but silent air. It was too late. I watched as they stabbed me in the back, bringing me to the ground and slashing into me. I felt everything. Every cut on the other me was like fire on my skin. Every deep stab bringing me to my knees to scream in agony, but still nothing would come. Soon I felt cold, and then as I looked to my other self and the light faded from his eyes, I felt colder. And then, nothing. I opened my eyes and I was in front of the machine again. Henry was slumped over, the broken speaker letting out a looping laugh that filled the whole tent. It printed out a ticket. I read it and was horrified to see the number 3 was printed on the worn paper. I walked out of the tent like a zombie. The air was thick and cold. I went back to my office and sat down trying to breathe, to rationalize what I'd seen. It took an hour, but soon I calmed down. I went home for the night and came back the next morning. I sat down at my desk, and that's when I got a knock at my door. It opened, and a woman ran in holding a picture. She said she'd lost her son somewhere on the property. Being the manager, I immediately got up to help, until I looked at the picture. It was the little boy. The little boy is seen 12 years ago, and the woman, she looked like she hadn't aged a day. I closed my eyes and shook my head and looked back. She was gone. The picture left sitting on my desk with X's drawn over the boy's eyes, and clipped to the picture was another ticket with the number 2 written on it. I had to find a way out of this, so I got up from my desk and went for a walk around the property. I called the owners while I walked and asked them what the hell the deal was with that tent and the puppet. All of it. They claimed they had no idea what I was talking about and decided to relieve me of my managerial duties. I went home that night thinking desperately of ways to get out of this. There had to be some way to stop that future from happening. I went to bed thinking maybe it would bring me some solace, but that solace never came. I woke up to the sound of a knock at the front door. When I got there and opened it, I saw nobody for a moment, but across the street, I could see it. Someone was standing there stiff as a board. Their body looked mangled, their chest spattered with blood and their head incaved, but I could still make out one thing, a seashell necklace hanging from its neck. Before I could think, the corpse sprinted for my door, letting out that same horrible broken speaker laugh as the puppet. I slammed the door as fast as I could. I could feel it pounding against the door, the laughing mixed with agonized screams. I begged for it to stop, for this all to just go away. I closed my eyes, and a moment later it had stopped. I opened the door slowly, only to see a ticket on my front porch. The number 1 was etched into the parchment. I became paranoid. I locked my doors, locked the windows, threw out anything that was remotely sharp or could hurt me, and sat in my living room. There had to be a way out, right? I left in the morning to go back to the carnival. If there was any way to stop this, it would be there. But my hopes were shattered when it looked like they'd already packed up and left. I searched the property for hours before I finally found something. The one standing structure, the tent. I entered it once again, but it was empty. No change in the air, no cold feeling. It was just a tent. I turned around to leave, but something felt off. I turned around to see none other than Marcus, no older than he was 12 years ago. His neck was crooked and his body battered as if from a fall, but he looked at peace. He gave me a small nod before he faded away. I felt something in my hand, and I pulled it up to see another ticket marked with a 0. I'm on the road home now, only a few blocks from my house. I know there's no stopping this. Would I have lived longer if I had never gone into that tent? Or did the puppet just show us what was going to happen anyway? I truly don't know. I hope those kids don't make my mistakes. Our mistakes. I know there's no escaping it. There never is. I hear footsteps behind me. Time's up.